I came here because when I graduated in physics, as I mentioned, and I went there to play basketball actually, and but I got into physics, and all my buddies were going to NASA when I was a senior, and I didn't particularly want to be stuck in a lab, you know, and they were not going to be able to go out in the field and do things that I like to do. So I was always interested in geology. I had a rock collection when I was a kid that would fill this room easily, and I had a Geiger counter, and I had a ultraviolet light, and I was always collecting fossils, and this was my hobby when I was a kid. And so when I got to be a senior and took a couple of geology classes, I said, oh, I really like, maybe I can take physics and make that with geology and make that work. So the guy who was teaching at Marshall at that time, his name was James Ray Wall, and he was a recent graduate from LSU. And he had taken a 2-year job assignment at Marshall, where I was. So I had taken the classes from him, and he said, what are you going to do? You know, where are you going to go to graduate school? And I was starting to look at schools and see if I could get in. He said, you just forget it. You've got to go to LSU. And I thought, well, if he's sold on this, and I started looking up LSU, and truly, they had one of the best geology departments in the country at that time. I mean, they had some outstanding, H.V. Howe that really did fundamental work in microfossils in the Gulf and set up, you know, biostratigraphy really in the Gulf. They had R.J. Russell, who started Coastal Studies Institute and was world renowned for his work in physical geography. And they had Jim Morgan, who worked on and many other people who were really well known in their particular parts of geology. Plus, they had the Mississippi Delta here and the Mississippi River, which were just wonderful laboratories, and they still are. So I was sold from the very beginning, even before I came down here. And then James Ray Wall was from Macomb, so he knew all. And on the way that we came down, the Christmas before I signed up at LSU, or before they accepted me, we came down to meet the department head and see if I could get an assistantship. So we came through Mississippi. Of course, he knew all the honky-tonks through Mississippi, and we stopped at nearly every one, and then spent the night in Gulfport, where I had a fantastic seafood dinner. And I thought, boy, this is not bad. And then we came to LSU, and I met the department chair, and he showed me around, and I met several of the professors and talked about what they were doing in their research and what I might be involved in if I came here. And sure enough, they said, well, we'll find the money for you if you want to come. I said, okay, I'll be there. And so starting that next semester, I came to LSU, and the rest is about a 60-year history here. So anyway, that was my introduction to LSU and to the Department of Geology and Geophysics, and I told them at the time that I didn't have a geology degree, but I had taken all the courses for a BS. I did that in 1 year, and even though I didn't have a degree, they said, well, you can make up some classes. You may have to take a couple of extra classes or something like that. That's fine with me. So, I started, and I was a little bit behind the other students because they had been in geology their whole academic careers, and so I was a little bit behind, but by the time I got my master's degree, I was caught up and moving ahead. So